Hey, y'all, and welcome to another episode of the Millennial Management Podcast. I am your host, Brandy, the Millennial Manager, and today is Friday. You know what that means? Okay, that means that we have a topic on our main episode, and this topic today is revolving retaliation. I know y'all have been messaging me about it. I've received a lot of emails about it, and it's time to go ahead and have a conversation. Let's go through some of the signs of retaliation, and it's so many, okay? And we're going to talk about what to do if you are in this situation. But first, make sure you are following me at Brandy, the Millennial Manager, on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and YouTube. And make sure that y'all report the account that is impersonating me on TikTok. It's like Brandy, the Millennial Manager 0. And then there's one Brandy, the Millennial Manager RR with 2 R's on the end. But yeah, those are fake accounts. So please do not follow with them. Please do not engage. I have reported them and blocked them. And I've also not allow people to download my videos until they stop, because they have been taking my content and resharing it. But anyway, let's move on to our topic. Let's talk about what retaliation is, okay? Retaliation occurs when an employer takes adverse action against an employee for engaging in protected activity. Okay, such as reporting harassment, discrimination, filing a complaint, or participating in a union. Now, there are several examples of retaliation, and we're going to go over some of those. Number one, this one is the easiest one to spot: termination. After you have reported something that your boss was doing or not doing, maybe you reported your boss's favorite employee, because we know they have favorites. Maybe you have reported some illegal practices within the company, and then all of a sudden you are terminated. Then you know exactly why you were terminated. You were terminated because you made the report. You were terminated because you filed the complaint. Okay? Demotion. This one is a little harder, all right? As we get through this list, you're going to see that some of them are not as black and white. Demotion, they can say anything. Maybe you're not performing. Maybe your metrics are not where they should be, so they result to demotion, which could result in a PIP. And y'all know the PIP is a performance improvement plan. Once they start reporting on you and filing documents on you, your time is winding up. Okay, so you either need to make a decision, right? Am I going to move forward and wait until the termination happens? Or am I going to leave ahead of this, right? So if you know that you have these things happening at work, I would leave first and then contact an attorney if there are some illegal things happening where you have had to report this to a government agency, and now they're starting to demote you, and then they're going into this next one, reducing your hours or reducing your pay. They're lowering your pay, and this one is a little harder to fight. Because if they say, well, she wasn't performing, he wasn't making his goals, he wasn't attending certain meetings, if they have anything that reflects on a negative work, a negative work delivery, meaning that you're not delivering your daily tasks and duties, you're not doing those things, you're not hitting the mark, they can reduce your pay as a result. Okay, meaning they can demote you from your current position, especially if you are in a management role. Negative performance reviews. Now, if you are somebody who has had shining reviews since you have been with this company, and then now that you have had this problem with this manager, and now when it's time for your review, they have all of these negative things to say. They have no ability to separate fact and fiction, right? Or feelings and logic. They have no ability to do that. While they may be upset with you and upset that the report was filed, logically, you are a good employee and they should be able to separate the two, but they can't because they are allowing their emotions to outweigh the situation. Okay? This is something that affects so many people, because when you have a review, most of those times your bonuses are attached to the review, your overall salary and how you promote it within the company is attached to how your current manager views and sees you. So if you have a manager who is taking things out on you personally because you have filed a report or you have filed a claim and they know that it was you, and now they're retaliating against you through your performance review, this is something that you want to document. Documentation under all of these topics is going to be key, but this one in particular, because this one is very personal. Some of the other things that happen can come from the higher ups, but when you have this one happening, this is somebody that works with you every day, and they're the person that more than likely you have had to report. The next sign of retaliation is unfavorable job assignments, meaning they are putting you in a place that either you don't know how to operate, right? They have you in a location that you have never worked before. Maybe they're having you work in a space that is not necessarily your zone of genius because they want you to fail at it. Because if they have you fail at this particular role, at this particular responsibility, then that can reflect negatively on your work performance. They know that this is not a job that you have done. You have not had the adequate training. They kind of throw you in this situation because of how they feel about you, or maybe it's about how you reported the department, or maybe you reported your company. And now they're starting to give you unfavorable job assignments, things that you've never done before, in places or in departments that you have never worked before. So they know that you're not going to be successful. It's either going to piss you off to where you quit, which is what they really want, so they don't have to worry about unemployment, or that you fail miserably, and then you also will not be eligible for unemployment because you're not following the company policy of meeting these goals, meeting these standards. If you are being excluded from key meetings that have everything to do with your job, even if it's one part of your job, if you are not in those meetings and able to have those conversations and they're excluding you, you're not going to be able to do your job. And they're doing that on purpose. It is not by accident. You don't know what's going on with patients. You don't know what's going on with clients because they are leaving you out of the meeting, because that's going to keep you in the dark, which means that you will not be able to perform your job. These last two are very direct. Harassment and intimidation. Maybe they're sending threatening emails, threatening you verbally that you're going to lose your job, you're going to be terminated, the company is going to sue you. They start harassing you about certain things. So those things are a little more in your face. But the rest of these things are a little harder to spot. And if you're not documenting every single interaction that you are having with this person, or documenting some of the things that have happened in the workplace, you're going to be in a terrible situation, because it is very hard to prove negative performance reviews saying that you're not doing your job. It's very hard to prove that if you don't have any history of the accolades that you have received, or the congratulatories that you have received up until this report. So it's very obvious when you are looking at it through a documentation standpoint versus when someone is talking. So if you have been receiving shining reviews and then you all of a sudden meet this manager that is kind of a brick wall, right? You can't get through her or him, around them. You cannot do anything around this person because they have the biggest issue with you for whatever reason. And then now that you have had to file a complaint, they're going after you even more. So you need to document, okay? You need to document every interaction. Get you a little notebook from Target, from Walmart, wherever you go and buy anything. Please buy a notebook for work and take a note of all of the instances that you are experiencing. So in the description, I listed protected activities, right? Now, what are the protected activities? These are things that you are legally allowed to do. And it should not affect your job in any way. But we know that retaliation is a real thing. It is not something that is made up. So let's go into some of these protected activities. Number 1, reporting harassment or discrimination. If you have filed a report, that is definitely in your right to do so. Okay? You shouldn't feel guilty about it either. You need to bring light to harassment or discrimination in the workplace. Filing a complaint with the EEOC or any other government agency, you have the right to do so. Participating in a union. Okay, we know that a lot of companies actually frown upon union participation, but it is definitely encouraged because you need someone advocating on your behalf. A lot of the big three, I live in Detroit, a lot of the big three is union, and how they're able to secure their raises, how they're able to secure their benefits, that is through a union. Okay, the UAW, they definitely go out of their way to make sure that their participants are protected. And there are some companies out that do not want anybody advocating on your behalf. They don't want that for you. They want you to be in the dark about your rights, what is allowed, what is not allowed. And so that's another reason why this podcast exists. Okay. Refusing to follow orders that would result in discrimination. Okay. Meaning they have given you a direct order to discriminate against another employee, or it is something that is going to be discriminatory to yourself. All right. Maybe it's something that's going to leave you out. Maybe it's something about your sexuality, whatever it is that is inappropriate at work that your boss is having you do, and it's singling out people. That is a protected activity, and you are allowed to report that. Okay. And you should. Resisting sexual advances. This goes without saying. I don't care if there's a light touch on your hand. You need to report that. Okay. There should not be any body touching, all right? Shaking hands, that is to the extent. But once it goes beyond that and you feel uncomfortable, you feel uneasy, and you are not welcoming this type of behavior, you need to go and report it, okay? Understand what those feelings mean. If you feel uncomfortable when you're around this person, this is not a good feeling, and you need to report it. Requesting accommodations for a disability or a religious practice. Let me tell you something. I actually had to reject an email from a manager, and I just flat out told them, your ass is wrong. I will never in my life support this type of behavior. So I received an email a while back, and the email was about a manager upset that they had to comply with ADA accommodations. And the language that was being used was so inappropriate about this person. Like, they just didn't like them as a person. And so now that they have these accommodations, they have an issue with them. And I flat out told them, this is actually a protected practice for your employee. And you fighting it is only going to get your company sued and you too. And you're going to be held liable. You're out here trying to prove a point when really you just need to request or approve the accommodation, because it's not going to affect your job in any way. Approve the reasonable accommodation. I think it was something like working remote one day or something. It's all about control. They just didn't want this person to have the ability to work from home. But I didn't read the email on the podcast because I didn't like some of the things that was being said. So I messaged them directly and told them, like, hey, your email will not be selected, and these are the reasons why. You need to get a fucking grip, okay? Anyway, going on to the religious practice, y'all, if people have to leave because they need to pray, step out. I know during certain holidays for certain religions, there are times that they have to fast. Just accommodate them. It is not going to affect the work environment. A 15-minute prayer. Maybe this person is fasting. They can only eat after this time. Accommodate those people. Accommodate them. It only brings on a lawsuit because you're trying to, no, we're all the same. No, we're not. There are some things that are very unique to different cultures and different people, and we have to respect it. Okay? The next one, asking about salary information to uncover potential discriminatory wages. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now, I tell y'all not to be telling your coworkers how much you make. But if somebody asks you and y'all feel like y'all not getting paid correctly based off of your experience, that's a little different. Okay, that's a little bit different. I understand that there may be instances where the companies are not paying fairly for the same amount of work. And I also understand that you are negotiating your own salary. Okay, guys? So we also need to make sure we're advocating for ourselves in that way, that we're advocating for ourselves to make sure that we get the salary that is desired. Okay? However, there are situations where companies are paying certain individuals more money for the same pay. Y'all been together at this company at the same time. And there are times when you do have to question whether or not you're being paid fairly. So if you make an inquiry about that and you and your coworker are in agreement that this is not me attacking you, I just want to make sure that we're on the same playing field, that's fine. But just be careful with that one, okay? Because I have had that happen where somebody found out what I was making, but I advocated for myself and I knew what I was requesting from my years of experience. And this person did not do that same thing. They took what was being offered, and what was being offered was not enough, okay? All right. Now we are going to go into our first email. Now, because I have received this question quite a bit, I'm going to kind of make this a blanket one. Okay. 2, how can I prove that I experience retaliation? To prove retaliation, y'all, you need to show that you were engaged in protected activity, meaning you had done some of these things that we're talking about, and that you have suffered an adverse employment action, and that there was a causal connection between the two, meaning these things are related. All right. Once you filed that report, this is what started happening. Before that report, you had glowing reviews. Your manager had nothing but positive things to say. And then all of a sudden you make this report about you being uncomfortable, about you not welcoming the sexual advances. And now you are being retaliated against. Question number 2, what should I do if I believe that I'm being retaliated against? Number 1, we've been saying this D word all day. What's the D word, y'all? Document. Document everything, all right? What they wore that day, the dates and the times. If you had people present, you need to document everything. Anything that supports your claim is going to help you when you contact your union or if you discuss it with an attorney, okay? Which everybody, if you have experienced any of these things at work, you need to contact an attorney immediately. Do you understand? If you are dealing with retaliation at work, you need to contact an attorney, but you also need to make sure you got documentation. Don't go in there, I think. No, have it on paper. Be ready. Because then when they start asking you these questions, you already have the information. You already have the documentation. This is what messes up a lot of situations. I'm sure that there are so many employees that could sue a company for retaliation, but because they have not been documenting, they have kind of been a little ignorant to the situation, meaning that you have no knowledge of some of these protected activities. You also have no knowledge that some of those things are connected. So that is why I wanted to record this episode, because it's very important to make sure that you are informed and you are aware. The moral of the story is documentation is on your side. And if you are dealing with this situation, you are dealing with unwanted sexual advances, you are dealing with an inappropriate manager, you are dealing with a company that is violating laws and you're having to report them, you shouldn't feel bad that you have to, because retaliation is illegal, guys. All right? It is prohibited by the EEOC. and the Department of Labor. It is illegal. All right. And if you don't know, now you do. All right. If you didn't know before that, you know now that retaliation is illegal. And that's why it's so hard to spot it, because you have to show proof that they are breaking the law. Okay. Document. What are you going to do today? Document. Thank you so much for coming to this TED Talk. I'm just playing. But I hope that this helps y'all for real. Like, seriously, please make sure that you are documenting everything that you are experiencing at work. And when it reflects negatively on the company, so damn what? It doesn't matter. You did your due diligence by reporting it, and that it doesn't reflect negatively on you. You have to report bad practices. Okay? All right. That is going to be it for today's episode. Please remember to follow the podcast for new episode updates. Also, make sure that you join the Patreon. Now, the Patreon gets bonus episodes, and then they also have a live schedule. So tonight is our next scheduled live. Today, Friday, November 22nd. We're going live at 9 o'clock. You can join the Patreon for $6. It is only for the paid community. It's a smaller group, but it's a nice live. You can ask all your questions. And today is BYOQ, meaning bring your own questions. Okay. Whatever you want to talk about is what we are going to be talking about. We go live for about an hour, and we just sit there and we talk. We have a good time. They can share stories and everything. It's such a great interactive experience versus Instagram. It's a little harder for me to keep up with comments. And so I have to create a topic from there, or it'll just be like a random live for funsies. Okay. Now, if you want to join the Patreon, you can just click the link in my bio. I'll also make sure that I'll attach it to this episode. Lastly, make sure y'all report those damn accounts. And that's it for me. So y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Y'all enjoy y'all Friday. Turn up a little bit. And I will see y'all on the internet. Bye-bye.